And we try to lend our platform on my show and the Daily Wire to amplify the British plight right now that is happening with the complete invasion of your country and the destruction of British culture.
But by whom? Sorry, who are we being invaded by? I'm an immigrant. Are you suggesting that I've invaded Britain? You just identify to me what you understand British culture to be so that I can then respond appropriately, because I don't understand that British culture is in any way being diminished by immigration.
It was left to an American woman who works for the Daily Wire to go on to Piers Morgan and defend Britain. She said illegal immigrants are invading us. Her opponent then said, well, I'm an immigrant. Does that mean I'm the problem? Well, she clearly had a British accent, so obviously she's lived here for a very long time if she wasn't born here. Obviously, that's not the same as a criminal coming here illegally on a boat. Just because she's not invading the UK doesn't mean others aren't. You mentioned stopping terrorists coming here illegally, and the left immediately start banning on about how we need doctors and surgeons and all the rest of it. The 1 million people that came here in 1 year are not all doctors and physicists, and it shouldn't be too hard to work out which people should be allowed to come and which shouldn't. We have far too many culturally incompatible people coming into the country from these third world places. If the British people don't want these people here, then they shouldn't be allowed to come. It's as simple as that. Then the same woman said, what is British culture? When the American lady said British culture is under threat. It's a rhetorical question. She's saying we have no culture of our own, and that British culture is just multiculturalism. It's just whatever people bring here with them. Imagine I said that about any other country. It's just anti-British racism. Would she ever say that to an African person, that you have no culture? Your culture is just whatever the British Empire brought you? Of course she wouldn't, because that would be racist. And then Piers Morgan pipes up saying London isn't being overrun with crime and we don't have Sharia law. Well, it doesn't happen overnight, does it? It's an insidious process. But look at the issues we already have with illegal immigration. Yet our own government is inviting them into the country while it pretends it is trying to stop the boats. We have more extremists coming in every single day, and we are riddled with foreign gangs, terrorists, Islamists, and all sorts of criminals. And it seems it was only the American woman on this panel showing any concern. Just take a listen to this.
As Americans watching this, and we try to lend our platform on my show and the Daily Wire to amplify the British plight right now that is happening with the complete invasion of your country and the destruction of British culture.
But by whom? Sorry, who are we being invaded by? I'm an immigrant. Are you suggesting that I've invaded Britain?
If you are immigrating to a country appropriately and assimilating to that country's culture, more than welcome with open arms. But what we're watching in the UK right now is not immigration. It is immigration without assimilation, which is by its very nature invasion. We are watching the destruction of British culture to the point that Christian singers on the street are being told it is illegal for them to sing Christian gospel music while you can play the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day in the street.
Can you just identify to me what you understand British culture to be so that I can then respond appropriately? Because I don't understand that British culture is in any way being diminished by immigration.
Called a radical extremist. People are being called racist and xenophobic for flying the Union Jack in their homes or out on city streets. People are being thrown
not in their homes. They're not. I'm not aware of that in their homes. But are you saying that it's a part of British culture, that that's what you're saying has been under threat to raise the flag within our homes? Because that's not something I recognise.
In order to identify the problem here, British citizens are being thrown in prison for years and years and years for retweeting concerns about their inability to seek a job in the workforce being taken over by someone who just showed up 5 minutes ago, or their taxpayer dollars being used to pay for social services for those who are not legitimately seeking asylum or refugee status. We are watching the United Kingdom crumble before our very eyes.
Well, I would say, all right, hang on. Let me put up a little hand for my country here. I'm in my country. I don't know, when were you last here, Isabel?
I was last year. I was there in Scotland.
Okay. And did you feel in fear of your life everywhere you went from this invasion or not?
Unfortunately not, but I was there the same week that they started throwing people in prison for Facebook
Listen,
comments.
there are issues in the United Kingdom, in Britain. There are issues about free speech, proper issues, right? People have been imprisoned for stuff they put on Facebook. I don't like it. I don't like seeing Graham Linehan being arrested at the airport by armed policemen for jokes he put on X a few months before. All that stuff is ridiculous. I don't like the fact that seemingly a quarter of all the people now on benefits in this country are people suffering from anxiety. We've become a soft, weak country, and we're enabling people to play that card to avoid putting in a hard day's work, and they're getting paid by us to sit at home. I don't like any of that, right? I do think there are some issues on the immigration thing which are serious. The small boat scandal, which it is, the thousands, tens of thousands of people just coming in on boats all the time, especially when the weather's good, is terrible and has to stop. We lost the plot completely with legal migration, allowing way too many dependents to come in. Our public services simply can't cope with the avalanche of people that were coming. However, the idea that we're living in some kind of Islamist state now and that nobody can walk the streets of London without fearing for their life is massively exaggerated. So I do think this is good. And it's been whipped up a lot in America, I have to say, where I say to my American friends, you really need to come to London and you need to sort of walk around. I mean, just walk around. Trust me, I was in New York recently, LA, I was in Miami. I don't feel any more fear in London than I do in any of those cities. So we've got to get perspective here. However, there are fundamental points about things like free speech, about control of migration, which there are legitimate concerns being raised by legitimate people who actually are right. These things have to be dealt with.